Hi, my name is Frank Schaefer. I am an author of such books as Why I Am an Atheist Who Believes in God, and my memoir, Crazy for God, and my novels like Portofino, Saving Grandma, and Zermatt. They all have a theme running through them, and that is my obsession, if you like, with having grown up as the son of a fundamentalist preacher who then went on and became one of the founders of the religious right in the 1970s, along with Jerry Falwell, working with such people as President Ronald Reagan and a good personal family friend, Jack Kemp, to meld the Republican Party and the religious right. Fast forward 30-odd years or more, and we have Donald Trump as president. The root of this problem is religious mania, literal madness. Religious ideas that actually drive people crazy, finally. When you talk about alternative facts and the alt-right and fake news, you can't understand the persuasive power of these on white evangelicals, who 81% of whom voted for President Trump, without understanding that they have been weaned on alternative reality since birth with their mother's milk. The earth is only 6,000 years old. Evolution did not occur. It's not a big jump from that to believing there's no global warming and climate change. It's not a big jump from that to believing that because Donald Trump says he's, quote, pro-life and will nominate someone like Gorsuch, that excuses everything in terms of his own moral behavior, which is about as antithetical to biblical norms as you could imagine. But they have managed to actually elect a madman. Donald Trump is, excuse the expression, batshit crazy, literally. A group of psychiatrists in a convention meeting at Yale University last week actually warned the president himself that he was unfit to govern, that he is nuts. The Washington Post this morning has an interesting article about the amount of television he watches, and that he channels cable news, gets up early to watch Fox and Friends, and then reacts with his early morning tweets, and also just national policy, to the point where foreign governments are telling their ambassadors to watch our junk news cycle, because that's the only information the president is getting. Which opens up a bigger question, and that is, could a whole country be driven mad by overexposure to half-baked bullshit media? And I think we have been. I think there's a generation of people out there who actually have watched so much television that their brains broke. That reality for them comes in a package that has no bearing on the physical, tactile relationship we should have with the world. I'm thinking of young mothers who are tweeting and doing this rather than making eye contact with their children. I'm thinking of people who hand electronic devices to 2-year-olds to amuse themselves on long flights instead of a coloring book or a piece of clay, or looking at the view out the window and talking about the clouds or the Grand Canyon going underneath. I'm talking about people who cannot maintain or sustain human relationships and who think that sexuality is just another form of physical need, not realizing that actual human relationships involve eye contact and sacrifice and love and care and commitment. We have driven ourselves crazy. I am not a Luddite when it comes to the media. I'm talking to you using an iPhone, and this will be on Facebook, and it will be on my blog. But that said, just because we have these forms of communication that are sometimes useful doesn't mean that the excessive addiction to the media that someone like Donald Trump has not actually made him nuts. It has. It has skewed his view of the world. You know, my grandson Ben, who's now 22, that's what happens, by the way, when you get a girl pregnant when you're 17 and 18 and then stay with her for 50 years and have 5 grandchildren, 2 of whom are the age of my friend's kids, because we started so young. But that little parenthetical footnote over, you know, when he did his military service in Finland, where he grew up because his dad is Finnish-American, he was the only kid in the platoon who knew how to light a fire. There were guys in there dropping lit pieces of newspaper into a wood stove filled with wood, thinking that somehow that would catch. It isn't just an American problem, it's a global problem, a lack of a tactile relationship with reality, where there's an actual bottom line because you get splinters in your hand, and you're not doing this and looking for answers in your little black box or electronic device or playing a video game. You're in reality. Moms that know how to dress children and feed them. rather than looking for answers here, because they've actually absorbed the tactile reality that if your kid runs around in an undershirt all winter long, eventually they're going to catch a cold, that their grandmothers actually knew something, as it were. Well, Donald Trump, his form of madness, aside from his awful politics and his fascist authoritarian tendencies, derives from a TV addiction age. And he knows that we're all addicted too, and so he rolls with it, and he's a master of manipulation through media. But none of this means he can actually legislate anything. His first 100 days are an abject failure. He's done nothing that he said he would do except be mean to a few Muslim women and children and Mexican immigrants, where he's torn families up for arbitrary, stupid reasons that actually go against our economy. So we have a fool for a president, but we also have someone genuinely deranged by the television media age we live in. Let's unhook ourselves and become better parents and lovers and partners and realize that real human commitment always trumps, no pun intended, this kind of fake world we've created. And let's realize that our president is actually deranged and that he can't see reality and therefore is triply dangerous than if he was just significantly cynical, which he also is. The fact that we've landed here means that a significant number of us are crazy too. We live in a country where there's no discussion between sanity and madness, because the sickness of sickness is that you cannot self-analyze and admit your own failing because you can't see it, because you are actually crazy. Our overexposure to television and media has driven us nuts. Donald Trump is the result. This is less a political reality than one of mental health. Thank you. My name is Frank Schaefer.